Well, Senate lawmakers will hold antitrust hearings later this month on Comcast's $30 billion merger with NBC Universal. It's expected to face some tough scrutiny, but my next guest believes it will ultimately be approved. Joining me now from D.C. is Paul Gallant. He's the telecom policy analyst at Concept Capital. Paul, great to see you. And I know it's very complicated to get through sort of all the ins and outs about what the regulators are going to look into this deal. But you say, though, that a good example to look at is what happened with AOL Time Warner, right?
Right. I mean, that was sort of a merger where a content company, AOL, and a distributor, Time Warner Cable, or Time Warner, were very interested in getting together and sort of protecting themselves against the future evolution of the telecom and media and internet business. That deal generated a tremendous amount of reaction in Washington. The fear was that it would control too much of the future media landscape. But in the end, the deal really did not present any serious objections on pure antitrust grounds. And so regulators and the Justice Department were OK with that deal. And I think really the same story is going to be true here with Comcast-NBC. This is a very attractive deal for politicians to hold hearings about. But the reality of it is Comcast and NBC don't really compete head-to-head today. And so we don't see this deal running into serious antitrust objections. But
do you feel that same level of discord among the regulators, or no? Or is that level not as much as you saw with AOL Time Warner?
I think there is going to be a little bit more resistance from Congress and from the regulators to this deal, because it does sort of fit under the rubric of media consolidation, which is a hot-button issue in Washington. Democrats in Washington in particular are very wary of allowing any transaction that would increase consolidation in a way that one company would have too much power over what Americans see or hear.
Right.
But I think in the end, there may be conditions attached to this merger, but I don't think it's going to run into any serious pure antitrust objections.
Right, and of course we know the relationship between politicians and the media. But in any case, Paul, okay, just to get out of you though, I mean, what do you expect will be the concessions that have to come out from this regulatory review, from Comcast, on the Comcast side?
Sure. I mean, I think there's a couple of sets of issues that regulators are going to be pretty interested in. One is whether Comcast can use this new programming that it gets from NBC to sort of disadvantage its rivals in the pay TV market. So can Comcast raise the rates that it charges for NBC and USA and Bravo to companies like DirecTV and Verizon and AT&T? Can they use that programming to sort of disadvantage their rivals in some way? A second set of issues is,
will they? Just hang on. Will they? Will they be able to?
There are some rules on the books right now at the FCC aimed at preventing Comcast from doing that. But I think you're going to see DirecTV and, again, Verizon, AT&T come into the FCC and say, look, those rules are a good start, but they're not enough. And there's different ways that Comcast could really hurt us in an anti-competitive way. And we need merger conditions attached to this deal.
OK, and Paul, interrupt you very quickly. The second thing you said, the second concession?
Sure. The second thing is regulators really want to see internet TV take off. And I think one of their fears is that Comcast owning NBC is going to give Comcast an ability to potentially thwart the rise of internet TV. Congressmen hate when cable companies raise their rates every year, and they love the idea that consumers might be able to cut the cord and get TV for free on the internet. And I think they'll think about conditions on this deal that make sure Comcast doesn't stifle the growth of internet TV.
Okay, Paul, good to talk with you. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. Paul Gallant of Concept Capital.